I'm going to say candidate Gorbea as opposed to Secretary of State Gorbea. What are the mechanics of getting this legislation and this funding passed in a, let's just say, post-session world? How do you go about doing this now?
Well, there's a number of ways in which things happen in the post-session in this building. And each and every one of you who are reporters have seen all sorts of things get done in the post-session. So I really think, first of all, I'm calling on the fact that the governor, during the time when he had the power to speak to the concerns that Rhode Island women have about this issue, did nothing. Now that we're in the post-session, he could definitely call on the leadership and say, this is a really important issue, we have to act on it now. There's all sorts of ways in which a governor can express leadership and call on the legislative branch to act.
Can I clarify a couple of things? Number one, the governor has said he's gotten a legal opinion saying he doesn't have the power to issue an executive order to do what you're all asking him to do. Do you have a contrary legal opinion? Who provided it that he does have the power?
So I will say this. The governor has the power to negotiate and to lead and to make it a point, an important point, with his conversations with the General Assembly to either bring them back or to somehow figure out a way around.
Do you think he can issue an executive order which was specifically for the 20-odd advocacy?
But there's many other ways in which, there's many other ways, absolutely.
But do you believe he has the power to issue an executive order, which is something, if you do believe it, he could do today?
No, I'm not an attorney myself. I'm not gonna get into a tit for tat on whether, this one way of passing the provisions is a viable method or not. I know that I've worked in this building as an advocate, as a community leader, and now as an elected official. There are many ways in which to get things done in this building. And he's not using the power of his office to stand for women and their right to choose what is best for their families.
I'd like to ask Karen Alzate a question as well. You said something about the House leadership in that chamber is 100% behind something and bringing members back in September. So tell me who has conveyed to you that there's 100% support, and how much realistic talk is there about bringing the House and Senate back in September?
Sure. So I can't speak to the Senate side, but I can't speak to the Senate side. I can only speak to the House side. I myself have had conversations with our House leadership, and they are in support of its members. We have talked to them. We have said to them that we want this bill to get passed, and we are asking them if they could negotiate with whoever they feel the need that they need to negotiate with, so that we can have this bill passed in September. Women are being attacked right now. Our rights, our fundamental rights to our bodies are being attacked, and our leadership stands behind that, and they understand that.
Who are you identifying here as the leadership who has told you they not only support what you're saying, but are willing to bring the House back?
So they haven't said that they're willing to bring the House back. I'm saying that I'm letting them know that I would want us to come back in September. But Speaker Shekarchi is behind this, and Leader Blazejewski and Whip Kazarian. So I have talked to all three of them, and I have expressed to myself, and some of my members in the caucus have said that they would like to get this bill passed. So they're listening to us, but it's not just, the Senate has to come back too.
Yeah, I think what's really important here is that the governor, as the governor of the state, has the ability to get the speaker and the Senate president back into this building. Absolutely does.
How is that? Can you walk us through?
It's called leadership.
How specifically does this enforce the legislature to pass?
There are things that people negotiate on in this building over, and I believe that the rights of women to exercise how and when they will have children in this world is absolutely a fundamental right. So I can think of very few other things that are worth that much. The rights of women are at stake here. And so that is what the governor is able to bring forward and to negotiate with the speaker and the Senate. There's not a cookie cutter approach. This is not I'm going to put this square peg in this square hole. This is about exercising leadership, picking up the phone, going over to the offices and saying, this is important for the women of Rhode Island, And as governor, I will stand with women. And he is not willing to do that.
I think the Senate president has said he doesn't have any interest in coming back on this matter. What's your message to him? How do you convince him?
I would say that the women of Rhode Island, the people of Rhode Island, overwhelmingly support giving women the right to make that choice for themselves and for their families, and we should be bringing this right forward.
The decision was no surprise, right? I mean, it came a day after session ended, and yet right up to the very end of session, the leadership was telling me they had no interest in passing this bill in the House. And they said they didn't see it was important. In fact, Shekarchi told me everyone has a right to an abortion in Rhode Island is fine.
A right that cannot be exercised because you can't afford it is not a right.
Right.
We saw that with voting, right?
Absolutely.
We got rid of poll taxes because charging people a tax to go into the ballot box was not accessing the right to vote. Similar to this, and being able to choose as a woman whether you are going to have an abortion or not should be a right that's afforded every woman, not just some who have the financial ability to do so.
You talked about fully funding this. What's this going to be called?
There's been a series of fiscal notes on this, and in the end, this is about people's rights over their own bodies and to exercise their right. So whatever the cost is inconsequential to the value of women's rights to have governance over their own bodies.
You got supporting Speaker Mattiello over the years, who was for a long time the firewall against codifying Roe v. Wade.
So I know that this is something that many of my supporters have been busy throwing up there. In the end, I have 30 years of experience in fighting for abortion rights. I can see why my opponents would be bringing this up because, one of them actually has not been a supporter of abortion rights and has not really been out there advocating, Governor McKee. And my opponent gave money to Mitch McConnell, who we have to thank for being in this situation to begin with, right? So in the end, I testified for the bill that codified Roe v. Wade. I have absolutely advocated for abortion rights my entire life. And I am proud of the fact that again, I will say that I, as an elected leader, have listened and had conversations with a wide variety of folks, some of whom I don't agree with on everything. But those are the moments in which you can actually advocate for the things that you care passionately about. And in the end, thanks to the work of myself and many advocates who are on the ground, we were able to codify Roe v. Wade despite the objections, the personal objections of that speaker. And I'm proud of that work.
How prominently will this issue factor in the Gorbea for Governor campaign moving forward into the primary?
Well, we're having a press conference today. Clearly, it's factoring very prominently because this is not a moment to waver. This is a moment to be out there and proudly support the rights of women and the financial access that people need to exercise their rights.
What kind of persuasion can you bring to this argument that where the opponents can't?
I'm sorry, what?
What kind of persuasive powers can you bring to this that your opponents cannot?
I know that there have been other moments in which when I have spoken about certain issues, we've been able to see changes in the way things happen. I hope that my standing here today very firmly and letting Rhode Islanders know that I stand behind women and their right to be able to choose how they will live their lives is something that they can count on with a Governor Gorbea.
Is there an ad to follow?
I'm not going to get into what ads might be coming down the pike, but I know that it will be something that I will be talking with Rhode Islanders every step of the way, every week till we get to primary day. Thanks.
Well, one of the reasons I asked is obvious. Folks, I think it was the day after, not within 48 hours of the U.S. Supreme Court decision, was out there stating her position. And here we are.
Yep.
A little bit of time has passed. So I wonder, how are you going to be on this group standing here when you get your message?
Here's the thing. I didn't give money to Mitch McConnell, who overthrew Roe v. Wade. I mean, who basically prevented President Obama from appointing a Supreme Court justice that could have changed the track of history that we're on right now. So I understand her need to get out there on this issue now, but I have stood by women for all of my adult life, and I will continue to do so as governor of Rhode Island. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.